Let's play this clip of Seema Verma. She is the head of the Seder for Medicaid and Medicare, part of the Health and Human Services. She's a right-winger who was put in this position to work out the details of block granting Medicaid. And when you block grant Medicaid, for instance, right now, there are many governors around the country who are petitioning the U.S. government, the federal government. We need to expand Medicaid in our states because we have problems meeting the demand for healthcare, and we're worried about it going forward. And we need to be able to allow more people in. Plus, we're anticipating an economic shock from this, and we're going to have people come on. And the federal government is trying to prevent those waivers. If this was block granted, there would be no opportunity at all to expand Medicaid in these states because the money is limited. They get a specific dollar figure, period, end of story. Do with it what you want. As it is now, there's more elasticity because the federal government agrees to fund people who are at certain benchmarks in regards to poverty numbers. And if that number increases, then the funding will increase. What governors are wanting to do is actually make the algorithm more generous in anticipation of problems that they're going to have in the future, and they want to be able to ramp up. Here is Seema Verma on Martha McCallum on Fox News. They've literally been working on cutting Medicaid and Medicare throughout this entire period. In fact, they're spending their time denying waivers from governors to get the funding to try and prepare for what could be an onslaught of cases and to expand capacity in their system. When she is asked about that very question about capacity, what are you guys doing to make sure that the limited supply of ventilators and beds that we have in the U.S. system is being built up? How are you doing that? And what Verma does is pretend that she does not hear the question.
But in terms of actual equipment, we heard Bernie Sanders today, for one, coming out and saying that there's a major shortage of ICU units. We've heard that there's a shortage of ventilators, even swabs and equipment for the actual tests. What's being done about that? And how concerned are you that when these numbers do start to rise, which Dr. Fauci has told us to expect, that there'll be enough ICU units, enough ventilators to help the people who do get sick in this country?
Well, that's why we have an emergency prepared system. We're used to dealing with disasters. If we look at some of the disasters that have happened around hurricanes in Puerto Rico and Florida, there is a system in place to make sure that folks that are on the front lines have the equipment and the supplies that they need.
So are you saying that we do have enough?
One of the things that we're doing at CMS is to have rapid dialogue with healthcare providers. So we're meeting with providers almost on a daily basis to understand what challenges.
I just want to catch you up on where this is. She just ignored McCallum. Like, do you have enough? She's saying when their events are localized, we have a system for that. And then she's saying, and on top of that, we're having a dialogue. We're talking.
Talking with the vendors?
No, not the vendors. Oh. They're just talking to the doctors who say they need this stuff. And that's all basically we need to do is just hear that they need it. And then, that's end of conversation.
Just make sure those doctors are heard.
Right, exactly.
Saying that we do have enough?
One of the things that we're doing at CMS is to have rapid dialogue with healthcare providers. So we're meeting with providers almost on a daily basis to understand what challenges are they facing and what can we do at the government level to support them and help them. And that's why we've been putting out so much guidance. It's based on these dialogues that we've been having.
It's like at the government level, like as if they're just playing like a backup position to these doctors.
Well, and then what they're doing is that we're listening to what your needs are, and then we're issuing guidance. In other words, we're writing up what you've told us, and we're telling you back, like, make sure you wash your hands.
Yeah, all you have to do is spend 5 minutes on Twitter and see some viral tweet that says, they told me to contact the ER. The ER told me to contact my healthcare provider. My healthcare provider told me to contact the Department of Health locally, and they told me to contact my emergency care, and they told me to contact the ER.
Right.
out so much guidance. It's based on these dialogues that we've been having with the healthcare community about the needs that they have.
Yeah, I understand
the other thing that we've really focused on
can I just ask you one more time? Will there be enough?
Sure that people
Telehealth?
Yeah, telehealth. Go back here. No, but she's asking a very specific question. Are there going to be enough ventilators?
Healthcare community about the needs that they have.
Yeah, I understand
the other thing that we've really focused on
can I just ask you one more time? Will there be
making
enough?
Sure that people understand, hey, before you go into your doctor's office, you can call your doctor on the phone and have a discussion with them, and they can tell you whether you need to come in or not. And that's really important because we don't want to have people have to travel unnecessarily if they're not feeling well.
No, absolutely.
And if they come into a healthcare facility, they could also be putting others at risk. And so we're encouraging people to call their doctor in advance.
Yes,
and we're making sure that providers can use telehealth and telemedicine to serve their patients.
We've made that point here quite a bit, and I think it's a very important point to make. But before I let you go, I want to ask you one more time. Are there going to be people in this country who don't get a ventilator if they need one? Are you concerned that the actual physical equipment that is needed to serve the people who will get sick is out there? Can you reassure everyone tonight that there is not a shortage of ventilators or ICU units?
And that's why the president has taken such bold and decisive action, right? We're not waiting for this to get worse. We're not waiting for this to be a crisis in our healthcare systems. And that's why the mitigation strategies that he announced last night, limiting travel from Europe, not allowing that. We've given travel advisories on cruise ships. That's why we're taking all of this action, because we don't want to put stress on the healthcare system.
Okay, that's not a direct answer to the question, but it sounds like a hope that there won't be enough sick people and we won't run out of ventilators because we have mitigated, and we certainly hope that's the case. Administrator Verma, thank you.
I mean, this is just such a horror show. Such a horror show. I mean, like, honestly, like, this is like straight out of this is like it's like a movie. Right? Like, I mean, this is like a movie. You would put that scene in a movie to indicate like they don't know what they're doing. They have no answers for any of it.
It's like halfway through that interview that they cut away. She just took out her IFB and was like, I can kind of hear what you're saying, but I'm just going to keep
It's so creepy. It's like she's coin operated or something. She's just going to repeat those talking points. Like, like things everybody knows, like we shouldn't be traveling from country to country. That's why Trump was really proactive. No, let's talk about like material supplies and stocks.
Are you going to, I mean, it'd be basically like me saying to Matt, like, Matt, did you get do we have enough cables to hook up the mixer?
Well, Brendan and I have been talking about how we're going to start on Slack discussing the things we need for the show in the morning.
No, but do you have cables for the mixer?
Brendan gave me my login to the new channel on Slack, and we're discussing, different ways so we can make sure every single show that we put out is produced as competently as possible.
Right. And what about the cables for the mixer?
Yeah, Brendan and I are, in discussion about different ways we can improve, like the sound mixing. A lot of times there's a lag between the sound and the video, so we really need to address that. And I think we've been having a rapid dialogue, and I think we've determined some ways forward on that, and we'll be issuing guidance shortly.
This is the part where you actually start to praise Brendan and how great of a job he's doing on the video cutting. And to be honest, I absolutely, Brendan is doing a wonderful job on his video things, and I think that's one of the reasons why, by emphasizing the expertise that Brendan is bringing to the video, we are diminishing the need, perhaps, for any type of assistance on the audio end.
A lot of people, the video looks so good lately.
Yes, that it really. We want people focusing on the video, and that puts a lot of pressure, takes a lot of pressure off the need to have any type of audio equipment. I mean, it's just stunning.
Gonna put this on my next CV.
Exactly. Here is a report. Here is listen to, this is Seema Verma. Okay, this is when they're talking about, like, first of all, understand this administration is suing to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. They are calling on insurance companies simultaneously to, under the Affordable Care Act. Under the Affordable Care Act, we have things called essential services. Those essential services are basically things that say, like, if you don't provide this as a health insurer, what you're selling is not health insurance. You have to have free colonoscopies over the age of 50 are free. You have to cover it. Free mammograms. A host of things like this that make the insurance. Like it would almost be like saying like, hey, if you're going to sell a car and you're going to call it a car, one of the essential services is that it has wheels and it goes forward. And when you press the gas and the brakes stop. They are suing to get rid of this. They have stood down on a Republican suit that's at the Supreme Court that, of course, they're not going to look at. They're not going to address until after the election. But here is Seema Verma as part of the C-word task force briefing. This was last night.
As the Vice President said, we had a terrific meeting with the insurance companies, a real example of a public-private partnership where they agreed to waive copays for testing, not do any surprise billing, and also cover the costs of the COVID virus-associated costs. The other things that they did is they asked the President for more flexibility in Medicare Advantage plans, and the President agreed to do that. And so today we issued guidance to our Medicare Advantage plans that not only can they waive the costs for the test, but they can also go further to removing prior authorization requirements. They can waive prescription refill limits. They can allow for mail delivery of prescription drugs and expand more access to telehealth services if they weren't offering that in their plan. Also at CMS, we continue to work with healthcare providers around infection control practices. We met with home health agencies and also hospitals, and today we issued guidance to dialysis facilities as well as home health agencies around infection control.
There's been a great deal of attention about the Grand Princess and HHS working with the Coast Guard, with the Department of Defense.
All right, now so you know he's talking about. So and basically what this is like, this is stuff that we more or less could already have. And of course, they're doing it through Medicare Advantage as opposed to providing the stuff through Medicaid. Could easily be just providing it.
And, I think if we weren't in the case, in the environment where the GOP is in control of government and we have a pandemic, do you think John Roberts would be like, wait a second, or the Republicans would be like, wait a second, can we just do all this stuff? Should we think about it? Like
yes. This should already be in place. We should already have everything she just said.